Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Boy, did he knock that one over the fence. Good evening and welcome to The Hardline. I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, filling in for Ed this evening. Donald Trump started the immigration conversation many months ago with his hard-hitting talk about the risk of America's open borders. And it continues to be one of the hottest issues in the 2016 race. All this while Donald Trump calls out Hillary Clinton's plans to send her husband out on the campaign trail. Joining me now to weigh in on this is Executive Director of Latino Partnership at the Conservative American Principles Project, Alfonso Aguilar, and veteran political media consultant from the firm Fletcher Rowley, John Rowley. Gentlemen, it's great to have you. Alfonso, I'm going to start with you with the fireworks. I am just thrilled. I am thrilled to death to hear that the DHS is going to start deporting illegal aliens. We're going to have raids. We're going to get America back to the way it was supposed to be. How do you feel about that?
Well, actually, I agree with what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to focus on those people who entered through the border, unaccompanied minors, and women that accompanied their children into the United States, who claimed that they had a right to asylum. I believe that we needed to process them, to give them an opportunity to show that they indeed had a claim to asylum. They went through the process, and many of them, perhaps the majority, were not granted asylum. Those people cannot stay in the country. They should be removed if they don't want to leave voluntarily. So on this one, I actually agree that they should be removed. We gave them an opportunity. They didn't meet the standard for asylum, so they should leave. So we're in agreement for the first time.
You are starting to see the light, baby. I believe we're getting somewhere. Now, if I can just take you from that little tiny sliver that you're stuck in and just say to you that all 40 million of the illegal aliens in this country need to go home with them, you and I are now going to become best friends, and I want to take you out to dinner. But now, before I let you speak again, let me bring John in. John, do you want to join us for dinner, or do you disagree?
Well, I mean, there are a number of things I'm not sure I agree with. A, whether there are 40 million illegal immigrants. B, whether Donald Trump started this conversation. I mean, President Obama and some Republicans in the Senate started an immigration reform conversation in Washington quite a while back that kind of got undermined by the Tea Party. And so I think the other thing to think about this is that you have to also view this in a national security realm. I think one of the reasons you're going to see a harder line from the president, or at least there's more of a push in that direction, is through the lens of ISIS and national security and some of the other things that we've seen going on in the world and some terror threats.
John, to even begin to try to sell me on the fact that President Barack Hussein Obama started the conversation about illegal aliens and about how to start with the rule of law and get people sent back home is just nuts. And you brought up the Gang of Eight bill. Whoa, let me finish. I'm going to give you the floor. Let me finish.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. If a illegal alien is drunk driving and they hit somebody and they kill them, do you think that person should be deported, or should they be allowed to be eligible for the Gang of Eight bill?
Well, I think we ought to focus on not one anecdote, but let's
No. Answer the question. Well, I mean, emotionally and gutturally, you think some hard justice should be laid on them, whether it's within our criminal justice system or a deportation. Should they be eligible or not in the Gang of Eight bill? Should they be on a path to citizenship? Should they be allowed to pay a fine and be included in everybody else that was in the Gang of Eight bill? Let me just get to the point. The Gang of Eight bill said that if you had murdered somebody, you were ineligible unless you did it in a traffic accident in which you were DWI and you killed somebody. If one of your kids was killed in that way and you found out they were going to get a pathway to citizenship, you'd freak out. Alfonso, please tell me if I'm wrong.
No, actually, you're right. But I don't believe that the Senate bill was a good bill. I think it was just a start. At that time, we had a Democratic Senate. It was the best thing we could get out. But we knew, and Marco Rubio said it, that we needed to fix the bill in the House. Ironically, your friend Ted Cruz.
Marco Rubio wrote that.
Ted Cruz supported legalization. Ted Cruz wanted to amend it because at that time he wanted to play both sides. You know, he says that it was a poison pill when he introduced.
We're not talking about Ted Cruz.
But well, I know, but we're talking about immigration and the Senate bill in the context of a presidential election. And my whole point is that
we're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about Donald Trump saying that he wants to deport all the illegal aliens. And that DHS. Let me finish, Alfonso. Alfonso, we got plenty of time. We're talking about Donald Trump stating the fact that he is going to deport illegal aliens. And now that the DHS says that they're going to start doing raids and they're going to start deporting people. You wanted to stick in the sliver of those who seek asylum falsely. I'm saying to you, every person that came across that border illegally needs to go home. And I'm asking very simply, if one of those people killed somebody in a drunk driving accident, the Gang of 8 bill, which John brought up in reference, I didn't, that allowed them to stay here and be eligible. So you cannot say that President Barack Obama and the people in the Senate talked about real immigration reform. That is ridiculous. The American people don't want it, and that's why Trump is at the top of the polls.
Okay, if I could answer, first of all, that person should definitely be removed. So I agree with you on that one. But let me say first, to think that we're talking about immigration because of Donald Trump, it's hilarious. We've been talking about immigration before Donald Trump. And you're one of those that's been talking about immigration before Donald Trump came around. I've been talking about it. It was an issue for debate, an important issue during the last presidential election and the previous presidential election. So to say now that all of a sudden we're talking about it because of Trump is ridiculous. The second point is this idea that we can remove 11 million or 40 million, to use your number, from the country. It's impossible. I believe that we are a country.
It's not impossible.
It is impossible.
You know what? People like you, Alfonso, I have respect for you, but people like you say that because you're trying to drive the same sort of agenda that John is. And John, I'm going to have you weigh in right now. Okay? At the end of the day, you people want to give the illegal aliens here, you want to give them work permits, you want to give them the opportunity to stay. And by doing so, you are throwing the American worker under the bus.
What you're proposing is...
Let John walk. Go ahead, John.
Well, I think you're just not looking at facts. I mean, there's a lot of anecdotes and emotion. If we go back to the Bush administration is where the problem just got out of control. They really took the INS out of the enforcement business. At the end of his presidency, there were almost no businesses in the United States cited or fined for hiring and recruiting illegal immigrants to come to this country. And so when you look at deportations, when you look at those sort of corporate responsibility fines that have happened, I think if you do a fair comparison, I think you've got to give Obama better marks, whether you agree that he's made the dramatic changes that need to be made or not. I think people on the right and left would both agree that that has not gotten done.
Obama has done the single worst job when it comes to immigration. I just had on, you brought up the INS, I just had retired INS agent Michael Cutler on here yesterday, who said of the 40 plus years that he's been in this immigration debate, if you will, that the single worst administration for immigration was Barack Obama's administration. And the reason being is because he told us, he warned us, he said he was going to fundamentally transform this country, and he used immigration to do it. And you know what? Guys like me who fight this storm, it's not because I am anti-anything. It's because I'm pro-America. And I understand, Alfonso, that until every American is on the pathway to the American dream, we can't be putting the illegal aliens before Americans. How can you say otherwise?
Well, I'm an American patriot. I served for 8 years in the Bush administration. The last 6 years as chief of the Office of Citizenship in the Department of Homeland Security. I've toured the border several times. The border's not secure. We have to do a better job of enforcement, strengthening domestic enforcement. I agree with you that we have to respect the rule of law, but our system is broken. And to say that we can massively deport millions of people, over 10 million, it's impossible. I think that we have to fix the system and prospectively start enforcing the law. But I think it's very naive. It's very naive.
Alfonso,
to say that we can actually do.
Alfonso, wait. Alfonso, your way of fixing the system is by giving the illegal aliens the ability to stay here in America. That is not fixing the system. That is encouraging more people to come here illegally. In the time that you and I have just had this 11 minutes of banter, hundreds of people have come across the border and nobody has stopped them.
Well,
what we need to do is enforce, let me finish this out. What we need to do, in fact, I got to end this segment. I just want you to think about this. Think about this for the next time I have you guys on, because we're going to be talking about this for a long time. What we need to do is start enforcing the laws and cutting off the magnet. We need to start telling the employers in this country that if you hire illegal aliens, you will be fined and then you're going to be prosecuted. And I promise you this, if you cut off the magnets, people won't come and people will start deporting themselves. Up next on the Hard Line, the danger in closing Guantanamo